Would you like to learn how to go from unknown to well known so you can be seen as an expert, establish trust and authority, set yourself apart from your competitors, and get paid more for your expertise? I'm Priya Florence Jha, award winning publisher, author, podcaster, and online branding consultant. In this channel, you'll learn how to create a personal brand that outlasts the next social media or search engine algorithm update. Sign up for my free personal branding email course below, subscribe to my channel, and hit the notification bell to get notified every time I post a new video. Today, I'm interviewing Dr. Letitia Wright. She's a highly esteemed and notable businesswoman. She's the executive producer and host of her nationally syndicated TV show, Wright Place Television, which is now in its 20th season with the bandwidth expanding over 55 million homes each week on UplifTV. As America's crowdfunding strategist, Dr. Letitia Wright was part of the 2018 November faculty of the Accelerated business schools in Thailand. In March of 2018, she was honored by the All Ladies League and the Women's Economic Forum in Holland. She teaches a youth entrepreneur incubator with StandUp for kids in Anaheim, California. So did I get that right? Yeah.
That is right. That is
Okay.
right.
Okay. Okay. Let's start. Let's get started. So you've got an amazing, very impressive personal brand that you've created for yourself over the years. I guess it must have taken you quite a long time to do that, right, ma'am?
It is. The
Letitia. Yeah.
TV show, yeah, the TV show is 20 years old. So
Right.
I've been doing TV for 20 years. The crowdfunding stuff I've been teaching for 7 years. The TV show is 20 years old. So I've been honing that craft for quite a long time.
Right.
So to get back to national TV and be able to get to 55 million homes, it's really great. I feel like my message is a little bit different than what it used to be, but I really am excited to take advantage of having such a big platform, and I really want to make it meaningful. The crowdfunding, I've been working with people for 7 years now, and I'm moving a little bit more towards working more with corporations, but I still have a heart for entrepreneurs, and I want to find ways to reach out and help entrepreneurs with what they're doing. So I kind of created a power hour, which is a lower priced advice hour for people that is
Right.
one-on-one, recorded, and I can really just talk to them one-on-one about their project. They keep the recording, and we can really get into what they're doing. So it's not general advice, and it's not just a story about some guy, I helped make money, years ago. It's like, let's talk about what will work for you right now. And then working with kids, helping them start businesses with the Youth Entrepreneur Incubator is something I've just been doing for the last 4 years. And I was very quiet about it. It was sort of like this, I really loved doing it, but it was sort of about like this little juicy secret I kept to myself. And I was kind of just doing this thing because it was just so fun and I just loved it so much. And then this year I was like, I'm ready to expand it. I'm ready to really push it out there. And it's time for me to like pull in my friends and pull in more funding and let people know what I'm doing. So I'm talking about it a whole lot more. And but I've been doing it for quite some time. So 2020 is going to be an exciting year because while I've been working at my brand, my personal brand for a long time, it's now you're really going to see the roots. It's sort of like there's been this rainstorm and poof, everything's getting, ready to like spring up. So it's very exciting times.
Oh, that's awesome. That sounds like everything is coming to fruition, right? For you, a whole bunch of all the work that you've been putting in. So tell us how you started. Tell us a little bit about your story. I'm really curious to know, how you got
Well,
started.
I am a
Mm.
physician and I did not have mentorship when I was opening my office. A lot of people just assume as a doctor you're going to come out and you're going to be super successful. And as a doctor, I knew how to take care of people, but I did not know how do you run an office and be super successful. and I was struggling. I was just really, really struggling. And in the local community, we had a little community television station, and you could have a community television show 20 years ago. And I got really interested in that. And my mindset was that maybe if I had a community television show about health, that would help me grow my practice and get more clients and just do better all over. What happened was is that I really fell in love with television production. It didn't really change the part of the business thing, but I started interviewing a lot more business people so I could learn more about business, because in school you learn how to be a doctor. You don't necessarily learn the business part.
Yeah.
And what I realized is that my classmates had mentors that were helping them. I didn't have that. And I really struggled. I mean, I went out and I talked to different doctors in the community. One male doctor said, "Well, you have children at home, so you need to go home and take care of your children."
Oh
He
dear.
wouldn't help me. Um, one a female doctor who was actually an alumni from my school. She was 2 cities over. She said I was too close. I was competition. She was not interested in helping me or mentoring me.
Oh dear.
And I just spent a lot of time being very, very frustrated. So I just felt like I need to figure this business stuff out. There were no shows, there was no small business television, there wasn't anything out there. There weren't a lot of books out there, especially about a practice. And so even when I reached out to a practice management company, and practice management companies were companies that would come into doctors' offices and help them turn around and be successful, I applied. And when I got a call from the company, I got very excited because I thought they were going to tell me when their expert was going to come into my office and start helping me. And the woman called and told me that I didn't make enough money to be one of their clients.
Oh dear.
So I was pretty crestfallen and pretty like, I don't really know what I'm supposed to do next.
Yeah.
And I just started doing um, a show called A Healthier You to kind of get in clients, but then I switched it to the Right Place to just learn about business. And I would just interview business experts. And interestingly enough, I found it very easy to ask for sponsorship and ask for interviews, and people would say yes. World renowned people would say yes, and it just grew over the years. And this was before, you could do YouTube and all of this kind of stuff. So to get your business on television, I was the deal in town. I was the
Okay.
way you made it happen.
Wow.
And my TV show got known around the world, and I was in Malaysia and I was taping shows, and I have friends all over the world, but I just was having a really, really great time. Then I got a little jaded and a little bit bored,
Hmm.
because I was starting to get all these guests that were just there's everybody's story was, oh, I don't know how I became so wealthy. I just thought of this idea, and all of these people bought all of these products from me, and I was just made a millionaire, and it just happened. And you just have to think positive. You just have to think positive, girl. You're just not positive enough. That's why you're having struggles. Um,
Oh,
and
that's hilarious.
yeah, and but as a woman who has her own podcast,
Yeah.
you don't have to say yes, because I don't want anybody to be upset with you. But as a podcast host, the
Yeah.
struggle too.
Yeah.
And so I just got really tired of that. And so I would do a few interviews here and there, but I was just like not willing to put one more person like that on the air, just even if they were writing me checks just to promote their
Yeah.
latest book,
Right.
that was based on nothing. And so when Uplift TV came to me and said, hey, we're really interested in Right Place TV, and they were actually saying, hey, we'll take old shows, you don't even have to make new shows, we'll take old shows. But I just thought this is a great opportunity for me to show people who I am now, and how I've grown. And so now the show is still focused on entrepreneurs, But what I also am talking to them about is, what do you support? What are the things that you want to see change in? How do you support your communities? What are you doing? And if you were to tell somebody to donate or support or give money to a cause or a venture, what would it be?
Yeah.
And so I do interview people, but I do ask all of them, you tell us what you support. And so I want to inspire my audience to not only consider entrepreneurship, but also consider these different things that they could be applying themselves, time wise, money wise, everything that they could apply to make the world better. So for me, it is Stand Up for Kids. It is Bob Lucas Library and Literacy Center in Altadena. It's a library that my family supports. Bob Lucas is my grandfather, so it's named after my grandfather. So of course my family supports this library. And what is it that, yes, entrepreneurs are making all this money, but I know that entrepreneurs are often, like me, supporting things that we don't really share or talk about. And so this is a great opportunity for them to share this and maybe even inspire the viewers to come along and support the same thing.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm really excited, and that's catching us up to 20 years of Right Place TV show.
Awesome. That's awesome because I love to hear how you've evolved and how you've gone from, like you said, including the question about how you create meaning and purpose with your show and with your business, and and have a social component to it, because that's so important today, and we just cannot ignore the social and environmental impacts that our businesses are having today, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
So I think that some people are just, oh, well, entrepreneurs are making millions and that's not a good thing, but it is a good thing when we have more money to put towards the things that we
Absolutely.
believe will help the world and help the
Absolutely.
environment and help
Yeah.
children.
Yeah.
And so many of the entrepreneurs, when you hear what they're up to, it's very exciting.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. I mean, I'm also excited that I meet some really interesting people on my podcast, and I'm continuing to meet them. So that's, and like you, I mean, you're really you're on the other end of the world, and I can engage with people, anywhere in the world and learn from them. So that's absolutely amazing. So what is, like, you started off with a TV show, and then you've gone into YouTube, and well, can you, elucidate that, or what your
So
journey has been?
I use YouTube as a way to reach out to people. My YouTube channel is sort of a mix. So it's got the TV show, it's got some crowdfunding information, it's got a little bit about what I'm doing with Stand Up for Kids. So
Yeah,
YouTube is a great way for people to start out very easily getting their brand out there. It's a very strong way to put it, to put your brand out there and get people engaged. Love YouTube. There's all kinds of social media that you can use. You just have to pick it and be consistent. So you
yeah,
can win on a lot of different platforms. I'm pretty standard. I'm on Facebook, I'm on Twitter, I'm on Snapchat, Instagram, and TikTok. I started a TikTok account. Don't quite know what I'm doing with it yet, but we'll figure that out later. I don't sing and
yeah,
dance, so we gotta figure out how that works if you don't sing and dance. Uh, but I think it's fun to explore different social medias so that you can really just figure out who you are. And here's the thing is that you just have to remember that you grow and change. You're in this for the long term.
yeah.
And it's okay that 4 years down the road, you're not the same person that you
Yes,
were.
yes,
And it doesn't mean that you have to throw away your total brand, but you can evolve and you can change. And so one of the things that I'm exploring is, okay, what do I what do I want to do with my YouTube channel? Where do I want it to go? Do I need to start maybe a second channel? There are people who have different YouTube channels. My
yeah,
YouTube channel holds the TV show, my YouTube channel holds this and that. I'm considering starting a second YouTube channel that is more just about me and being evolved and being, you know, who this person is now, and bringing, like you said, more meaning to my entire bit of work. And
Right.
so I'm thinking about, what will that mean? What will that following? Because as an entrepreneur, I'm also thinking, okay, and how do I monetize that? It's like, whatever you're doing, you want to make it work.
Of course.
I don't want to spread myself too thin. I do have a podcast called the Get Crowdfunded Now podcast. It's on iTunes and Spotify and everywhere, where I teach short lessons on crowdfunding. And so, you have all these things going on, and you want to make sure all of them are rowing in the same direction. So there
Yeah.
are a few things that I've had going on for years that I have cut back and cut down on, because they're not producing income, and they're not taking me in the direction that I want to go.
Yeah.
And so this is a great time of year to just prune those things off. And you're so used to having them, and you're so used to doing them, that you forget that they no longer produce. And
Yeah.
so you got to take time to do that. But in order for me to have room for what I really want in my life, then I have to cut those things off. So I used to have a group called Instant Star Maker, where I focused on helping people with their media. I'm no longer interested in doing that. There's plenty of people who do that, make a lot of money doing that. I no longer want to do that. Um, I have a couple of people that may be working on some shows with in January, specifically for the channel that I'm working with, but that's a whole kind of different situation. It's not me going and telling people, hey, want to have a show, I'll help you have a show. Don't care. It's easy to start your own podcast, and that's not a playground I particularly want to play in. I think that people have a lot of different ways to learn that, and can get good very, very quickly.
Absolutely.
So I think that winter's a great time to prune. Holidays time, whatever holiday you're celebrating, is a great time to slow down and say, what can I get rid of so that I can have more of the good stuff that I like? So when you think about the parts of your business that you really love, and you would do more of, but you can't do more of it because there's an hour where you have to do X. Well, if that hour could be you doing more of Y,
Yeah. Yeah.
if you could get rid of it,
Yeah.
then get rid of it,
Yeah.
delegate it or cut it out. And if
Right.
it's not being profitable, definitely cut it out.
Right. So do the stuff that you're good at and that you love and that you're passionate about, and cut out or delegate the stuff that you don't really enjoy and that is not really giving you the kind of return you're looking for. Or, like you said, not taking you in the direction that you want to go in. Right. And that's a wonderful message for the holidays, to prune the stuff that is not taking you where you want to go, and focus on the stuff that will
Yeah.
help you grow in that direction, or that you want to go in. So I think that's a brilliant message, and I'm going to take that very seriously, and I'm going to apply that in my own life too. Okay, so that's awesome.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah, yeah.
You're going to
So
feel great. When you're going to feel great, first prune that first thing, it's sort of strange, especially if it's something that's been around for a long time. But and I for example, I pruned Instant Star Maker, but I own instantstarmaker.com. So I
right.
kept instantstarmaker.com. What happens if you put in instantstarmaker.com, it takes you to my website. So you don't have to trash everything and trash all of your good work, because it has traffic to it.
Yeah.
But I keep the traffic. I'm just not maintaining a Facebook page and a web page and trying to put out content and all this. The other thing that I did is I made one big newsletter. I called
Mm,
it the Wright Place Roundup. You can get
okay.
it at wrightplacetv.com. So instead of having a newsletter for Instant Star Maker, Right Place TV, crowdfunding, and what I'm doing for StandUp for Kids, which would be, and the podcast, which would be 5 newsletters.
Oh my
I'm
God.
just like, subscribe to this one newsletter. There's sections for each thing. You can just read the section you want to read. It comes out twice a month. I'm not putting it out every single week. It comes out twice a month. and that's that. That's how I'm growing my email list.
Yeah.
I'm not making it complicated. I'm not making it a lot of work, but I also cannot keep up five. Even I don't want to pay someone to do five newsletters because you still have to monitor and make sure they're done well, they're done
Yeah.
right. They're, you know what
Right.
I mean. You can't. So I don't. I didn't want to do that. I want one newsletter. I want one newsletter. I'm refining the template. In January, I'll be able to hand that off to my writer because I've got the template done and I know that it'll go out twice a month and it'll be fine.
No.
And but five newsletters compared to one, that all those newsletters, they weren't working for me. They weren't growing.
Right.
Well, this newsletter is growing.
Okay. Yeah. And yeah, you might as well have people like, see, you're a multi-passionate entrepreneur, right? You've got so many passions, so might as well tell people about everything all at one go, like, and let them choose and pick what they want to read. So I think that makes a great deal of sense. It makes a whole lot of sense, so
Yeah, so
yeah.
that's my plan. In January, I won't be writing the newsletter. I'll be supplying, the tidbits of news, like, hey, add this, add that, this happened, that happened. Make sure it goes in the newsletter, but I won't be, writing it and adding the photos and spell checking it and all of that stuff. So I'm, evolving and changing, making the business work for me so that as I start my corporate work, I have my full attention on things that are bringing the bigger dollars. I travel extensively. I travel around the world, have friends around the world. Um, I'll be teaching in Vietnam. I'll be teaching in Singapore. I'll just be teaching around the United States. And I love travel, and I love my friends from around the world. I love that. I was, blessed to go to business school in Malaysia, so I have friends everywhere, literally. And it's amazing to watch business evolve around the world and be a part of that. And so there are just certain things that I cannot uh, make sure that I'm picking through every little thing. And there's a way to keep your team lean. I mean, some people want to have a really big office and they want to grow this big conglomerate. And I realized that I probably want to have a smaller office and a smaller group.
Yeah,
And I
definitely.
work well with virtual people.
Yeah.
So that works for me. I can work well with people around the world. Doesn't bother me at all. Maybe
Yeah.
because I'm used to traveling. I say when I've traveled my entire life. I was an exchange student when I was 16, and
Okay.
I've been traveling international ever since. So
Wow.
I've lived abroad since I was a teenager, and that's just been that. Um, so the way you want to build your business is up to you too, and you don't have to frame it the way everybody else is framing it, just as long as you get the work done.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes a great deal of sense. So what would you recommend if someone's starting out in business? You have this young incubators program. How would you go about? How do you recommend to them that they can start building a brand and getting the word out there about their businesses?
Well, one of the first things you want to do is you want to make sure your business solves a problem.
Mm,
When we're solving a problem,
yeah.
then it's very hard to put you out of business as long as you keep solving a current problem and you're kind of staying ahead of that. Then, as you solve the problem, then you get to kind of form who you are in the market. So you can be high end, you can be low end, you can be medium end. I always push my students to stay medium to high end because it's very hard to beat the low price leader at the low end. In America, we have what's called Walmart and
Yeah.
Kmart. They
Right.
sell prices at very low prices. Um, the man who started Walmart, his idea was that he wanted all of the customers to be able to get whatever they needed at his store. It came from a very good place. It was like, hey, I don't want them to have to go over there and go over here and go. I wanted them to walk in the door and everything they needed was in my store at a very low price. And so it's very hard to beat Walmart. You can't beat Walmart. But when you set yourself at a premium price, you set yourself with clients who appreciate what you do. They're good at paying their bills. It just affords you some leverage that trying to be the low price leader does not afford you.
Absolutely,
And
yeah.
so with a lot of the kids, I'm trying to express with them, hey, you do need to be medium to high price, or at least have one high price item. So maybe you're not the highest priced person, or you're not a luxury item. Have one version of your product that is a luxury item. For example, you could be a t-shirt maker. Have one t-shirt that's a $500 t-shirt.
Yeah.
Because you're always going to have that one high price client that likes high price things, and
Right.
they'll buy it.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be all of your clients, but take advantage of that and have that one thing there, because you only have to sell one a year. You don't have to sell a lot. You only have to sell a few. So figuring out who you are in the market, how you're going to brand yourself, has a lot to do with who you are, who you want to be. The decision is completely yours, but it is tied into what your product is. It is tied into your pricing. For me, I tell people, hey, I'm not your low price leader. I'm not cheap in what I do. Even with helping entrepreneurs, I'm not a low price leader. So when people work with me, they do have to be ready with their funds to work with me. And some people are mistaken about business crowdfunding, and they're just thinking of it as GoFundMe, like some sort of donation thing. And so, I have to explain to them that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about business crowdfunding, where you're bringing your business in, you're bringing in investors. That means you have to bring value to these investors. And so we're not talking about donation. Somebody will say, well, what can I give an investor to help him, give me money? And it's like, okay, you don't even understand what is happening at all, because you're thinking it's a donation and you're trying to give them a t-shirt or something. So the thing is that when you're starting out, solve a problem.
Yeah.
Then figure out who the real buyer is. In other words, who's really paying for this? If you tell me your customer is someone who is poor, you want to help people on the street. For example, someone say, oh, my customer is the homeless person on the street. Okay, great, but who's paying for that?
Who's paying for that? Exactly.
Wanting to help the homeless person on the street. I believe in that. But who is paying for that? They can't pay for that. So who is paying for that? So is your customer really the government program? Sometimes in America, we have government programs. So
that would pay for that, yeah.
Right. Is it the government program? Okay. So your customer is not the homeless person. The customer is the government program who's going to pay for the homeless person. So it's being really clear on who your customer is.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
The benefit of the service is the homeless person. That's not your customer.
Yeah. Right.
So solve a problem. Know who your customer is. And then the marketing is the thing, the packaging, how you package something makes all of the difference in the world.
Yeah.
You could have a gourmet meal, but if it's on a dirty plate, nobody's going to want it.
No, yeah. The packaging tells them how much your product is valued at, how much you value your product, right?
And that took me a long time to learn that. Because you do the packaging as best you can. You do it, you're making the package as best as you can, and then you move up in the world and you get some help. And I have a graphic artist now, and man, when she came in and she started doing my graphics, people were paying attention, and I started getting more business. And then you're like, oh wow, I guess my packaging wasn't that great. Her packaging is amazing. So you really have to pay attention to packaging. It's a kind of a tough lesson, especially when you're working on a budget, but packaging is important. So
so customers should be willing to, I mean, your clients, so an entrepreneur should be willing to pay for a good package, like good graphics, and that's one thing you would recommend, right? When you're creating a brand, building a brand for yourself, pay for good stuff, pay for, like, I would also recommend, pay for a good autoresponder, pay for a good thing. Don't go with free. People want to go with free, and this is free and that's free, but free is not necessarily the best option, and it in the long run it works out more expensive, in my opinion. I don't know. What do you
I
think?
think so too. I
Yeah.
agree with you. Don't, go for something a little upgraded that will just really look good, because um, we on the back end, we're looking for, does it work?
Yeah.
Does it
Yeah.
work, and does it work with my team?
Mm.
Because ultimately, if your team, you can buy something, but if your team just really hates it, it's
Yeah.
just not going to work.
Oh, yeah.
So you have
Absolutely.
to buy something that works with your team.
Yeah.
So do pay attention to that. Don't buy something to be like, here guys, use it. Like, make sure your team is like very excited with it.
Right.
But you have to, it has to look good to the customer. And so we can't get so, hooked up on our end that we forget that.
Yeah, that's absolutely true, because how you make it look, and how you carry, it's like how you carry yourself in real life, right? It's
Hmm.
that's how you're showing your brand to your customers. You're displaying your brand to your customers online. And so if you put in more effort and more love and more, investment into it, it's going to look better, obviously. It's like taking care
Yeah,
of.
for sure. For
Yeah.
sure.
So yeah, I think that makes a great deal of difference, and I think, and people need to understand that, entrepreneurs especially need to understand that. Don't go with the free stuff, don't go with the low cost stuff. Go for the things that will make you look good, make you look good to your clients. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, right. So I'm really impressed by all the stuff you're doing, especially for young people, because I think young people, a lot of them lack a sense of direction today, and they really need that kind of guidance, that you're providing with your incubator. That's, I think, a brilliant idea.
Yeah, with the incubator, we're working with kids that are from low income, they're at risk. And so I'm using entrepreneurship as youth homelessness prevention.
Okay.
And
Awesome.
so these
Awesome.
kids are at risk. They're not wealthy. Their parents can't pay. The same program that I'm giving, there are other places where you can get this program for about $3,000.
Right.
And over the summer, lots of parents pay for these kinds of programs. These kids cannot afford that. We
Hmm.
feed them every class. I call it second lunch. And it's an after school program. So they go to school all day, then they come to my class.
Okay.
And we feed them every class. And many of the children tell me this is the only lunch, this is the only food they've had all day.
Oh dear.
And so I tell them, hey, you have to eat because you need brain food as an entrepreneur. And you have to
Hmm.
drink water. We have water because you need to hydrate your brain as an entrepreneur. You got to be able to think. And interestingly enough, they're not that interested in soda and juice.
Hmm.
Very few, once in a while, we'll have soda.
Yeah.
And this is the only meal that the kids have had. This is an
Okay.
at-risk community. This is not a community full of a lot of resources. And
Yeah.
so Stand Up for Kids is the nonprofit that is my backup in making sure that the kids have food. We have an ask box. Inside the ask box, the kids can put in something that they need and put it in the box with their name on it. If they need school supplies, one kid put in there that he needed a jacket. He had a torn up jacket that he was coming to
Hmm.
class with.
Yeah.
We got him a jacket. I mean, we are meeting these kids' needs. During American Thanksgiving, which is a day that we celebrate by having a traditional large meal,
Yeah.
we made sure any kid in the program that said they wanted a turkey dinner, we got them a pre-cooked turkey dinner in a kind of box that just needed to be heated up,
Yeah.
because we don't know where these kids are living. Some kids are living in motels. Some
Yeah.
kids are doubling up with people. They may or may not have somewhere to even cook. So
Yeah.
this meal could be eaten cold and be okay,
I
but it
see.
could just be heated up in case they don't have any place to really heat it up,
Yeah.
to really cook.
Right.
And so half the class said, yes, I want a free meal. And we delivered meals to half my class.
That's awesome.
So,
That's brilliant. Mm.
so these kids, so we're supporting these kids on this end. On the other hand, and this is a low income school, these people are saying, oh, these kids are not that smart, they're not that good in school. My kids are doing Shark Tank math. When we watch Shark Tank, and the guys say, I want you to give me $250,000 for 15% of my company. My company. My kids know how to tell you how much that company's worth.
Oh,
They
that's
know how to
cool.
do the math.
Yeah.
So when you're sitting up here telling this kid he's failing in math, and I remind the kids, I said, if your math teacher is telling you you're not good in math or you're not doing good, I just want you to remember, you know how to do Shark Tank math. Does he know how to do Shark Tank math? I tell them, think. You're good at math. You can do this.
Yeah.
We sit there and watch the videos, and when they say this, boom, I show. Now they don't have to do it in their head. They can do it with a calculator, but I show them how, what the formula is and
Yeah.
how to do it.
Right.
And they're doing it. Oh, their company is worth $500,000. Okay, what do you guys think about that? And then we discuss, what you think it's worth that much? Oh, I don't know, that sounds like a lot. They have an open discussion about it.
Yeah.
So these kids are very, very smart. It's just that they just haven't had the opportunity.
Yeah.
And America's going through this weird thing where some kids are not being taught how to write their name in script.
Is that
I think
so?
that's
Okay.
I think that's a very deliberate way of doing some sort of weird class separation,
Mm-hmm.
because if you cannot write in script, you can't read in script.
That's
And
true.
American documents such as the Constitution and very old documents are all written in script. So you are taking away their ability to get some information.
Yeah.
I think
That's
that's
right.
very deliberate on the part of some people. So
Okay.
we're taking time in this class to make sure my kids can write in handwriting. I
Yeah.
tell them, you're going to be an important person when you grow up. Your signature is important,
It is
and you
important.
need to learn
Yeah.
how to write your name.
Yeah.
And don't let anyone tell you that it's not. So they have this third grade that you're supposed to learn it in third grade, in American third grade. I'm teaching eighth graders who are printing their name because they can't write.
No.
So there are some things I can't go back and fix, and I can release their self-esteem, and I can let them know they matter, they're
Yeah.
important, and they can do things. We also have
Absolutely.
very, very high standards in behavior. So a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, these kids are 12, 13, 14, they're terrible. It must be horrible. I don't have behavior problems because I don't allow it. I just tell them, this is what we're doing. You're not going to talk over me. You're not going to do this. You're not going to do that. You're not going to be rude. You're not going to pick on each other. We're one team. We're the entrepreneurs. We're one team together. We support each other. That's what we're here for. And so I expect and demand good behavior, and I get it.
I think that's
I explained to the teachers, the kids, I'm not one of the school district teachers. You're here because you want to be here, and you're here because I want you here.
yeah.
If you don't want to be here, you can leave the class and be out of it. Not a
Yeah.
problem.
Yeah.
But if I don't want you here, I can put you out of the class. I'm not a school district teacher,
Yeah.
so I don't have to keep you no matter what. If your behavior is not up to par, you're not going to be part of this class.
Yeah.
So it's a very different dynamic.
And that's beautiful because yes, it teaches them that there's a minimum basic requirement for respect, for treating others with respect. And yes, and you have to set boundaries for what you will tolerate and not tolerate, and that's teaching them a very good lesson for the future, for all their relationships. Lots of kids are not learning these things, how to set boundaries, how to behave with people, how to be respectful and demand respect also. So, and these
Yeah.
are very basic things we should be teaching kids. So I think that's brilliant. What you're doing is absolutely brilliant. How did you come to be known as the crowdfunding strategist, right?
Well, I started teaching crowdfunding about 7 years ago because I was
Yeah.
excited about how it would allow just a regular entrepreneur to raise money.
Hmm.
It would allow women, it would allow people of color to get into the game.
Yeah.
This whole raising millions of dollars for a business wasn't open to,
Yeah.
it was not, it's still not open, still not an open field,
Right.
but crowdfunding has made it better. And
Yeah.
crowdfunding has opened up the opportunities for you to get your business off the ground and get it funded. And so I wanted entrepreneurs to know about it. And so when I started 7 years ago, nobody knew about it, and nobody was you know nobody was sharing it out. And so I was like, well, I'm going to start teaching it and sharing it, and I just did, and people were very, very interested. Now they got it confused with GoFundMe and charity giving, and a lot of people still think it's charity giving. I used to go to events, and this one guy would be at a lot of the events on the East Coast, and he would always say, online beg online begging. And I would think, why is this guy being creepy and just walking? He just walked past me and go, online begging. It was weird. And I was like, okay, whatever. But years now, I realized people have no idea. $289 billion changed hands last year.
Yeah.
And so
Okay. That's
now I'm
awesome.
in a phase of, I've spent 7 years telling people, digging the hole, hey, this is here, this is here. Entrepreneurs for the most part still don't get it, and that's fine. And so that's why I'm kind of working with a lot of corporations now, because corporations understand it's leverage. It's
Yeah.
a way to test a product. Canon cameras tested a new camera they wanted to put out.
Right.
They crowdfunded it. They got
Okay.
people to pay for it before they
Yeah.
made it, because they wanted to make sure there was an audience for it.
Right. Right.
So I work with corporations that are doing that. They're saying, hey, before we spend a whole lot of money on making it and it doesn't sell, let's really test, because you can save money. You can find out what people will actually pay for. Not what they say they'll pay for, but what will they actually
Actually
pay
pay
for.
for. Yeah.
And
Because, yeah, that
mhm,
makes sense.
and the cool thing about American crowdfunding is that you can be from another country and use American sites and raise money.
Yeah.
So it was so funny when I was teaching in Thailand, not last year, but the year before. Um, I taught, yes, if you're outside of America, you can use American sites. And when I got a review, one of the students says, I don't believe that you can use American sites. That is not true. And so I thought that was hilarious. I was like, why would I make that up? That's like silly. But it is absolutely true. If you
Yeah.
are outside the United States, there's no restriction on you using. I understand that our current government sounds very much not interested in international world, but our government is interested in business. We're
Yeah.
never going to be anti-business. So if you're
True.
coming and you're bringing business, it's a whole different ballgame. And so you can use American sites. You can start a business here. You can do a lot of things here.
Right, right. So that's brilliant. I think that's a great. I think you've built an amazing brand and a multi-passionate entrepreneur doing so many things and juggling so much stuff. And you're an absolute inspiration for giving back to the community. In terms of the initiative you started for kids. How did you like that interview? Do you have any questions you'd like me to ask my next guest? Do post them in the comments below.